Right, let's talk to some voters and political commentators and reporters from right across the UK, and also our own political guru, Norman Smith. Hello.
Hi.
Someone asked me on Twitter yesterday to stop calling you a guru, and I said, no.
I think it's good. It sounds like an Indian mystic. It makes me sound all mysterious now. I'm quite for it.
Yeah, good. OK. Good morning. Do introduce yourself.
Gavin Haynes, political reporter with Vice.com.
David Armand, I'm retired.
Claire Jordan, investment manager.
I'm Paula Rowan-Adrian and I'm a practicing barrister and mediator.
I'm Rossalyn, I'm a news reporter at BuzzFeed.
I'm Kenny Maffedon and I'm a political commentator.
And on Skype, joining us around the country, hello.
Hi, my name's Sam. I run the Great British Meat Company in Gateshead.
Hi, I'm Darren, I'm a student.
Hello, I'm Jonathan and I live in Coventry.
That was Gateshead, Durham and Coventry, wasn't it? Thank you all very much for joining us. OK, so what do you think of it so far?
I think it's been a slow car crash,
Victoria.
Do you? Absolutely. I mean, we're being told by the experts that it's going to be a hung parliament, and yet in the last week we've just had this vomit of policies and the leaders attempting to be cool with a K, and it's just not working for me. I'm a floating voter. I haven't made up my mind.
Still? You must be leaning some way or the other.
Do you know what? No.
Okay.
I think I'm feeling tired, actually. I'm feeling tired. I'm feeling that this absolute, as I said, vomit of policies, that it's like a tsunami that's just overtaking me, and I'm yet to actually see the wood for the trees.
I think everyone's feeling tired because it's been going on so long, because we've known when the date of the election is going to be, so we've been fighting it for 9 months, and you know, journalists, politicians, the public are just kind of, oh, not more. And I think that's led to that sort of weariness with this. Like, normally you have a short, sharp campaign, it's all go, 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 go. This is like the longest of long marathons, and everyone's just, please let it end.
So as much as there's lots of policies coming out at the last minute, and, you know, they're still playing it very safe, of course, and there hasn't been the same, you know, controversial moments that the 2010 election had, which, you know, as we've just seen, all these key moments, and they're holding back, and there are less PR stunts happening right now. And I think that's probably why it feels like it's dragging on so long.
Well, I don't know. It's been nice to see a bit of sweat. It's been nice to see, you know, a bit of, you know, I ain't doing this and I ain't doing that. I think, where that's come from. It's been nice.
Me, I think it's a complete bore. You know, the only enjoyment I get is when I see Nigel Farage and he performs for UKIP. He's the only one who brings any life into the campaign.
But the key thing you say there is he performs. It's
he
a
performs,
show.
But that's what they are. They're showmen.
Yes, and it does feel like we're in the 7th week of a 5-week campaign at the moment, and obviously the leaders have been so cosseted because of the need to keep everything safe that, you know, it feels almost kind of Howard Hughes, that level of avoiding voters.
Yeah, it's quite spooky. I mean, the only time you ever see them is when they're painting in some school with some child. Interesting, but, you know, once you've seen it once, you really don't want to see it every single day.
And the children are head desking as well, as we know, that pivotal moment of the child with a head on a desk, sort of summarising the whole election campaign at the moment.
I think the factor which has led to, you know, this very dull, lacklustre campaign is bluntly fear. And it's because we are now in a social media age where everything can be reported and everything can be seen, and that has led the parties to say, right, we're not taking any risks at all. So basically the public have just been shunted to one side. And all the sort of media opportunities are incredibly tightly controlled, calculated in front of their supporters. And I do actually think, I mean, you know, there's one level you can get in despair about this and think this is terrible. I actually think we have reached the outer limits of this control culture. I think it's actually working against the politicians now, in that they are failing to resonate, they are failing to communicate, they can't get the message over because it is so controlled. And I wonder if we've actually reached the furthest part of this. Is the end of the spin control culture. The politicians themselves know it's not really working for them and it can't go on like this. I hope that's the case. I hope that's the case.
Sam, what about you in Gateshead as an undecided? How's this campaign been for you so far? And are you expecting anything more in the next week?
Not at all. If I could turn the campaign off, I would. It's been absolutely disgusting. I think I couldn't agree more with the chap who's just spoke. I think this is just, all we're seeing is political airbrushing, and I think it's going to turn a whole generation off democracy, because, anyone who's going to vote for the first time almost certainly won't vote, and that'll set their political barometer for their lifetime.
What do you reckon, Darren?
Well, I've just come back from Scotland. I've spent a few days up there with BBC Newsbeat.
Oh, yeah.
And I actually met Nicola Sturgeon and other senior members of the SNP. Now, I've been fortunate enough to meet members of our political parties, unionist parties, and they just don't have the same affinity that people from the SNP do. You just feel that these people have lived normal lives, they've come from working class backgrounds, and people feel like they have a real connection with politicians in Scotland, and that's why we've predicted a landslide in Scotland for the Scottish National Party. And the campaign in England is so lacklustre. I have already voted, but I think if I was in Scotland, it would be a no-brainer who to vote for.
Can I just say on Scotland, I mean, I think that's a really important point, because I know journalists like me, when we've been to Scotland, have been staggered at the difference in political culture. I mean, their political debate has just ignited. It has gone through the roof. I found, I'd be getting a cab into the BBC early doors in the morning, and the blooming taxi driver at 5 in the morning would want to talk about politics. And I'm thinking, crikey, it's 5 o'clock in the morning, ease off. But they are that engaged. And part of it, I think, is honesty. There is something very raw about the debate in Scotland. People are willing to have the argument, and I think it's, to the credit, actually, of Nicola Sturgeon and people like that, they are willing to make the argument in public, and it's a much more candid and open and fresh, and that, in turn, has energised the electorate there. We don't have that south of the border. We have to try and find it, because, honestly, Scotland's another country in terms of how politics is conducted.
Jonathan, what are you thinking in Coventry? How's it been for you so far?
It's been relatively quiet, that's true, and I think that the excitement of the campaign has been on the Celtic fringes. We've had more discussion about the impact of Plaid Cymru and SNP in England than we have about the impact of English politics and politicians on England. I think that represents the fact that first past the post system means that for most people their vote really isn't very significant, because they're going to be in a constituency that is likely to stay Conservative or stay Labour, and so there are only a limited number of constituencies in which the vote is absolutely vital.
But I wonder if, in terms of Nicola Sturgeon and Leanne Wood and Natalie Bennett to a certain extent, we have seen them in these TV election encounters in the way we saw Nick Clegg last time around. They've cut through this time in the way he did time. So those TV election debates, whatever you think of them, they're not debates, are they? They're encounters. Will that do as a word? At least it's put those three women in the forefront of people's minds. I don't know if you think